Hello, Virtuoso. My name is Philippe Tanguy with On Point Events. We are a tour operator for all the major sporting events, and I'm going to do a deep dive today into selling the Masters Golf Tournament to your clients. As a tour operator, we're obviously offering full customizable packages, all commissionable to you as travel advisors, to all the major sporting events, but obviously to the Masters. And I'm going to try to spend the next 20 minutes or less and just go through a deep dive into the Masters, what it is, some of the updates, obviously, because it's going to obviously some challenging times we're going through at the moment with the pandemic or post-pandemic. Some of the travel experiences that we offer, the inclusions in those travel experiences, and also cover some questions that you might want to ask your clients as you're trying to qualify them for this event. So let me dive straight in. Let's start off with some news updates, right? It's obviously been a challenging past year and a half and change, but live events here in the US are finally recovering. So we're finally starting to see most of the regular season sporting events come back to full capacity. Some of the major events that are upcoming, like the US Open Tennis in New York in August and September of this year, they're going to go off with full capacity. It's already been announced. Same thing with Ryder Cup, which is golf. Also in September, we'll go off with full capacity. So everything's really trending in the right direction. We don't have any official word yet from Augusta National, which is the event organizer for the Masters. And we don't really expect an official announcement until maybe closer to the end of the year. But I think everything is trending in the right direction. And so I think we're hopeful that the 2022 Masters is going to happen. So you may ask, that's great, Philippe, but we still have clients that are a little bit anxious about traveling. What do you tell them? Well, we do have a product called the Trip Protection product that we put out during the pandemic, or in the heat of the pandemic. And this is basically a money back guarantee for any customers that purchase a sporting event or travel experience with us, and the event organizers decide to either cancel or run the event without spectators. And if that happens, they would get 100% money back guarantee. This is an additional fee for on top of the travel package that they purchase. It is commissionable to travel agents, but this could be a way to help maybe alleviate some of their concerns. So that's the Trip Protection plan. Let's launch straight into it. Let's talk a little bit about the Masters, what it is, when it happens, etc. So this is a yearly event. Always happens in April, always in Augusta, Georgia, at the Augusta National Country Club. It is the first golf major of the year. So there are 4 golf majors, just like tennis. There's 4 majors in golf. Masters is going to be the first one, played in April. Then it's followed by the PGA Championship, the US Open, and then finally the Open Championship in July. It is played across 7 days. So the first 3 days, and I'll talk more in detail about this here in a little bit, are going to be what's called practice round days. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. There's a par 3 tournament on Wednesday, which is not an official tournament, but it's still a practice round day. And then the actual tournament of the Masters starts on Thursday and goes through Sunday. So for avid golf fans, and if you've got clients that are avid golf fans, you'll find that the Masters is really considered to be the holy grail of golf. This is something that most golf fans, it's on their bucket list. It's something that they're dying to go and do. And it's really because it's a very difficult event to get access to. So unlike the 3 other Opens or the 3 other majors, the PGA, the US Open, et cetera, which are very, very accessible, the Masters is very difficult to get access to. The ticketing, you can't just go buy the tickets on Ticketmaster or something like that. You have to have access to patrons, which thankfully we do, in order to get access to the credentials needed to get onto the course. So we do a lot of father-son trips and guide trips, I guess, for the Masters. We also do a lot of couples. And then for those of you that are involved with corporate incentives and what have you, the Masters is a great event for just doing corporate entertainment, to entertain the top customers, entertain the top salespeople at a company. So we do a lot of incentives and corporate travel to this event as well. And so if you've got customers that are mainly corporate or looking to figure out a way to leverage the Masters for their entertainment programs, feel free to reach out to us. It's something that we love to talk about. There's lots of different ways to get the best out of the Masters for these incentive programs. All right. I'm going to kind of show you a quick aerial of the course. So again, the Masters is played in Augusta, Georgia, at the Augusta National Country Club. There's the main course, which you can see here where all the holes are, is just absolutely spectacular. Lots of elevation, extremely well kept, and I'll show some pictures, on this as well. And which is part of the allure and part of why people want to come and see this, because it's like walking into the Museum of Golf. Speaking of walking in, this is the main entrance down here. This is where everyone sort of comes into Augusta National. There's the driving range off here to the left. Great place for clients to come and sit. There's like a little bleacher seating back here where they can sit and watch all the pros come in and just shoot balls down that driving range and just be amazed by the consistency that the pros have. I always want to talk about the pro shop. This is probably a highlight for a lot of people. So if people are looking to buy some of all the Masters gear, like shirts and hats and mugs and golf balls, all of that paraphernalia is sold at the pro shop. It's not sold online. So that's also part of the allure of coming to the Masters, is sort of having the ability to go and buy some of all this Masters gear, and you'd be surprised how much of this they sell and how much people carry out of these pro shops. But it's pretty funny sometimes. The clubhouse here sits at the top of the 18th green, and I'll show some pictures of that here in a moment. I want to talk a little bit about this place back here. So this is a 9-hole par 3 course. This is a separate course from the main course. This is where all the action is on Wednesday. So I'll talk about Wednesday as a practice round, but there's at 12 o'clock on Wednesday, there's what's called a par 3 tournament. It's not part of the official Masters tournament. It still is a practice round day, but it is a fascinating experience. I'll talk about that here in a moment. But that's the course. All right, let's go on to the next slide here. So here's some pictures. I always like to kind of show this because Augusta National just really is super iconic. This is a picture of the front of the clubhouse at Augusta National, just super iconic. I'm sure you've seen it before. It's kind of one of the crown jewel pictures that you always see or think about when you think about Augusta National and the Masters. Then on the other side of this clubhouse, this is the back side of the clubhouse, which again faces the 18th fairway. You'll have some seating out here, which is just for members only. And then back here, you can see like this little tree back here, this oak tree. This is actually another picture of it right here. This is where, if you ever watch this at home, Jim Nantz on CBS, he'll interview all the golfers as they come off of the 18th fairway on Championship Sunday. And it's just fascinating to kind of stand here and watch him interview those golfers and kind of see how they interact together, and just a spectacular time to be there, on Championship Sunday. And then, of course, I'd be remiss not talking about just kind of some of the different holes, but all the holes, again, the course is just spectacular. This is the Amen Corner, which is, again, one of the most famous holes at Augusta National, which I'm sure you've seen before as well, but kind of just gives you an idea of how magical the course itself is. All right, so let's talk about the actual format at the Masters. So there's 3 days of practice rounds, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And these are days where the pros will come out. They will probably hit the driving range, which we talked about, where people can kind of sit up there by the driving range and watch the pros. They'll go out onto the course. They'll play some holes. They might not play all the holes. And they might take multiple shots from the same position, just trying to get a feel for the fairway, the grass, the greens, how fast the ball rolls or how slow it rolls in certain locations. So it's an interesting time to be on the course because during Monday through Wednesday, things are very relaxed. You'll see the pros will be out there, but maybe with their kids, who will caddy with them or their family and walk around. The pace is very slow, very relaxed. They'll engage with patrons, which are the spectators at Augusta National. They will sign autographs. It's also the only days that you can actually bring a camera out onto the course. And then once you get to the tournament rounds, things get a lot more serious. Everyone's got their game face on. No cameras allowed, and no real interaction with the crowd at all. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday they're kind of special days to be on the course, more relaxed. And also, one thing I always like to talk about is on Wednesday. So Wednesday is kind of an interesting practice round day because you typically won't see a lot of the pros get onto the actual course itself. You'll see them come over to the driving range, hit some balls, warm up, and what have you. And then at 12 o'clock, there's what's called a par 3 contest, which happens up in that par 3 9-hole course that I showed you earlier, and that starts at 12. So one of the great things about Wednesday is it's kind of like it's a shortened practice round day because all the action doesn't really start until 12 o'clock. But one of the great things that if you're an avid golfer and you've only ever seen the Masters from a TV set at home, one of the great things to do on a Wednesday is to actually walk the course. There's very few people on the course. Like I said, there aren't any pros on the course. And it's just a kind of a chance to really revel in the elevations and the beauty of the course and to have it a little bit for yourself. So if you're an avid golfer, this is something that I always tell people it's a day to go out and take advantage of. Tournament rounds. So Thursday through Sunday, those are the tournament rounds. Thursday, they always have what's called an honorary start. So the starters in 2021 were Nicholas Player and Elder, who teed off at 7:45. We don't know who they're going to be yet for 2022, but it's going to be sort of in that same genre of famous players. And then the first group will then tee off at 8:30. And sort of the same thing on Friday. The first group tees off at 8:30. And then one thing to note is at the end of Friday, that's when there's a cut. And the cut means that only the top 50 players will progress into Saturday and Sunday rounds. So something to think about, because if you've got clients that want to see a certain pro play at the Masters, if there's a chance that pro doesn't make the cut, obviously sending them there for Thursday and Friday is going to be more important. The other thing that I'll mention about Thursday and Friday is these rounds tend to be in higher demand and also priced accordingly. And the reason is that's when we see most of corporate America is entertaining their customers. So Thursday and Friday tends to have a high demand with them versus Saturday and Sunday. So Saturday and Sunday, that's obviously getting into the championship weekend. One thing I would say on Sunday that I always like to mention is a great strategy for Sunday is to get out there early. And so as part of our Masters packages, we always offer an official commemorative Masters chair. So these are the green chairs that you've probably seen before. It's the only chair that you can really bring out onto the course. And so we advise people maybe to get out there first thing in the morning. You can get out to the 18th hole, sort of stake your real estate or find your little spot around the 18th hole, place your chair, and nobody really touches the chair. It's kind of a general understanding at the Masters that no one will sit in your chair. They're not going to move your chair. So getting out there first thing, finding your spot, and then maybe following the first and the second group to tee off and follow them around the course, or maybe come off the course to the hospitality, which I'll talk about in a moment, is a good strategy. And then going back out there again in the afternoon when the tournament is kind of coming to an end. So again, as a tour operator, we are offering full experiences, of full travel packages. Travel packages are going to include everything from transportation, obviously tickets to the event, hotel or private accommodations, which I'll mention or talk about in a moment. And it might also include some extras. The extras might be things like tee times at some of the private golf courses around town. There are some amazing private golf courses, and that is a great way to set up an itinerary at the Masters to kind of do a little mix and match, a little bit of tournament time, a little bit of playing some of the courses. So that those are, and then of course all of our travel experiences are commissionable to you as a travel advisor. So how do you do the masters? There's a lot of different ways to put together an itinerary or put together the experience. There isn't really one right way. It just all depends on what clients are trying to accomplish. So some clients will just want to come in for the practice rounds. Usually that's because it's generally more economical to come in during the practice rounds, like a Monday or Tuesday combination. Other clients want to try to do a mix of practice rounds and tournament rounds. The reason for that is just, you kind of get to see two different ways of being, on the course with the pros. And so we see a lot of people come in and maybe do the Tuesday practice round, play golf on Wednesday, and then come back and do a Thursday tournament round, or maybe they do a Wednesday par three, or the par three tournament on Wednesday, and then do a Thursday tournament round. So again, lots of different ways to do it. You could also just come in for the championship weekend, or even just come in for the championship Sunday. So lots of different ways to do it. We are dealing with Augusta in Georgia. So unfortunately, in terms of high-end inventory, there really isn't a lot of high-end luxury hotels at all. So we're kind of make do with what we have. And so the Baymont at Wyndham is a property that we use a lot for our travel packages. The Hyatt Place in Augusta, there's also the Sheraton that we'll use. And for someone that's really a little bit more discerning, that's looking for something higher end, that's really where we will recommend private homes. So we have a stable of really nice high-end private homes that we use every year. These are all rent-ready homes. We obviously manage them with staff that come in and clean them, change the sheets, fully stock the fridges with food and drink for our clients. And so that's a really great way. We can also cater it with a chef. It's a great way to experience the Masters for someone that's a little bit more discerning. Hospitality is something that I always want to touch on, or like to touch on. There really isn't a lot of at least premium beverage and premium food on the course itself at Augusta National. They do sell the famous pimento sandwiches. They'll have some coffee and some soft drinks and water and even some beer, but mainly it's just sandwiches and beverages out there. So one of the things that we do is we operate this VIP hospitality venue. It is off course, but we run a shuttle service continuously back and forth to the course. So it's easy to get to, and it's a great sort of reprieve, I guess, for people to come off the course after they've maybe walked it for a couple hours, relax. They can watch the tournament coverage, at the VIP hospitality, have food, have all the premium food and drink that they want, and then go back out on the course when they're ready. It's something that, it's a comment that we get from a lot of our clients, that it's a total highlight, and that they're super happy that, that they did or opted for the hospitality during their Masters trip. Again, as a tour operator, we are operating full travel experiences. So they're typically going to consist of, a couple of different components, but, transportation, obviously tickets to the event, and some sort of accommodation. As far as pricing goes, typically pricing is going to start at around $4,900 a person and kind of go up from there. But by the time we see people add in, multiple days on the course, maybe some of the extras, the hospitality, the tea times, typically the average investment ends up being closer to $12,000 to $13,000 a person. So that's kind of typically what we see out the door. So some key questions to ask clients. So as you're sort of talking to prospects, talking to clients about the Masters, one of the questions that we always suggest asking is, have they been to the Masters before? And the reason being is that if they've been, and it's been like 10, 12 years ago, obviously a lot has changed. The course itself has changed. The format stayed the same, but the pricing is probably what's going to shock them the most, because the pricing has definitely gone up compared to 10 years ago. Which is probably with everything in life. Another good question to ask is what rounds are they interested in? Are they wanting to come in just for the practice round? Do they want to come in for the tournament rounds? Do they sort of want to mix and match a little bit? And what sort of budget are they working with? Are they, are they looking for a luxury, in which case we might steer them towards a private home? Or are they looking more for are they looking to add in hospitality and do some of the tea times? I mean, those are all the main cost drivers in these travel experiences. So as you try to get to their budget, A good question to do, or good way to get there, is probably do what we call bracketing, which is, let them know that it typically starts at $4,900 per person and goes up from there. Average investment is typically $12,000 to $13,000, and kind of see what their reaction is from there, and kind of, and where to go. So, it is a very consultative process. We customize everything, but getting a sort of a general idea of what people were hoping to spend or invest at the Masters just really helps us in terms of guiding you and putting the right proposal together in front of your client. So that's that. I guess I'm going to cover just a couple of general questions that we typically get when we do these webinars live. And so some of the typical questions are, what happens if the Masters gets canceled again, as it has been during the pandemic? And so we talked a little bit about the trip insurance product that we have. That's something that we would recommend people look into if they're concerned about the event getting canceled or run without spectators. Another question we sometimes get is, how are you able to sell tickets if they're not generally available to the public? So the way the Masters works, and the reason why it's considered the hardest ticket in sports, is all the tickets, bar a few that are put out into a public lottery, which we don't get involved with, but there is a public lottery out there. Most of the tickets are already spoken for. They're already given to what's called patrons. And these are patrons of Augusta National, kind of sort of like members. They don't have the same privileges as members, but they are people or individuals that have had tickets to the Masters for years and years and years. And that list, in terms of becoming a patron, has been closed for a long time. And that's how we get our ticket inventory. So these are people that we've worked with for years and have relationships with, and that's how we're able to, sell access to the Masters every year. Another question we get sometimes is, do you have anything that we can send to our clients that does not have your logos on it? Well, if you're watching this webinar, then we will automatically send you out another email in a few days, which will include a link to a PDF document, which is a one-pager with some pricing on it and no logos that you can download, and you can send that to your client as a teaser and see if you get any sort of bites on that. So that's coming if you're watching this. Another question that we get sometimes is, how far away is your hospitality from the course? So I would say driving time, it's probably about 4 minutes from the course. And again, we have shuttles that run constantly back and forth. So we have a certain drop-off location right by the course where we'll drop everybody off and pick them up again. And again, they're just running continuously. There's never a wait. But about 4 to 5 minutes from the course. Can packages be adjusted to fit what the clients want? Absolutely. So we're definitely in the customization business. We customize every package. No package really is the same. So again, it just comes down to what they're looking for, the kind of budget that they have, what days they want to be on the course, how many days they want to be on the course, and we'll customize around that. Hopefully this was short enough, but useful enough to where you've learned some things about the Masters. If we could help in any way, put together an experience for you or your clients, please reach out to us. We're happy to help any way that we can. Thank you, Virtuoso. Appreciate your time. Thank you.